second Wednesday, we're going to do a new segment. We're starting it off today, and it's called The Breakdown. Generic, but it's true. We're going to break down 4 classic hip-hop tracks, 2 each. So I'll kick 2, Jamal will kick 2, and we'll break it down into 3. We're going to break it down into lyricism, production, and overall impact, whether it's impact to myself, impact on the culture, impact to the music industry, whatever it is. And we're going to go about it that way. So again, if you guys have questions, I have no problem putting them up here. But let's just make sure they kind of coincide with what we're talking about. I get questions like, yo, listen to my album. And, yeah, that's not going to work.
All right, what up? I'm sorry.
What up, man?
This shit ran a little late. So, not a little late.
All good.
Yeah, that was fun.
All good.
That was a fun talk.
I caught like the first, well, not even the first. I came in a little late. But maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then my phone was about to die.
Yeah, I saw you in there. No, it was fun. We talked Lakers and Knicks, John Morant. We talked all kinds of shit. It was fun.
All the good shit. So wait, you guys, I know you had said something to the point of like, yo, this is a yearly thing or whatnot. So are you going to try to do that, or is it just something?
Thanks for asking. Look at that. You were in my fucking brain through some osmosis shit. So, first of all, salute to everybody joining in. Yes. So we just decided. So we just kind of happened to just talk basketball the past 2 years. But what we're going to do now is we're going to do a joint where in the next season, we're going to do a preseason talk, all-star break talk, and then postseason talk.
Dope.
Like right before the playoffs. So just going to talk the season. And so I think it'll be fun. We focus on the season and talk to hip hop too. But in between that, got some projects dropping and shit. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do starting next season. So, but then we just happen to kind of do one the past 2 seasons, like just doing basketball. Because I know he likes basketball, so we did one. We were talking like New York City point guards and stuff, and just breaking it down. And he's a historian, like.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I know he gets analytical and history and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's like, he knows like New York basketball state history and shit, high school, like. So yeah, so it'll be fun. I mean, he's a good brother, yo. I mean, really good dude in this hip hop shit. So salute Breeze Brewing. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But it was fun. So yeah. But I'm excited about this shit though. I've been waiting for this. I'm excited about this, man. This new joint we got going.
Yeah. So again, I sound like a broken record. We're gonna dive right into it because we're what, 8 minutes into it. So 2 and 2, right? We're gonna kick out 2 tracks each, classic tracks. Now let's start here. And I don't want to sound long-winded, but you know, the word classic gets thrown out too often, right? And I bring it up. I brought it up to you yesterday. Classic to somebody might not mean classic to somebody else. So we want to make sure, you know, both you and I stick to what really is a classic. Which one of the tracks that I picked, it's to me is an underground classic. I don't know if it's a certified classic, but as we progress, we'll confirm, right? You know, songs like Planet Rock. I mean, that's hands down classic. To where if we say, you know, What They Do by the Roots, some people be like, I don't like the Roots, but nonetheless, let's get right into it. I'll have you start off if you want.
Sure, I'll start off. I picked. Did you already tell the tracks? I guess what you said.
Vaguely, there was not too many people in here, so let's just do it again.
Yeah. So I picked. The first one I'll do the Symphony. That's what I picked. Symphony's all-time classic joint, and I don't know if you mentioned we're breaking it down by lyrics, production, and overall impact. So yeah. So let's just go. I'll go lyrics first. There's a lot of history to that shit. You know, arguably one of the best posse cuts of all time. All heavy hitters on that shit. That was Master Ace's first time getting loose. Craig G was 15 when he spit that shit. 15. Okay? So when people want to, just a quick aside, when people want to say there were old heads just crapping on young music, no, because the dopest shit of all time was made by cats when they were 15, 16 years old. Rakim was 16 when he wrote Paid in Full, Buckshot, Black Moon, all that shit. So it's not about age, it's about quality. So 15, Symphony, Craig G. Little backstory is that Shan didn't want to jump on it with a bunch of new dudes. So look where he is, looking like a fucking fiend on, you know. So
I ain't even get into that.
Yeah, no, let's not get into that. And then Master Ace went first because nobody wanted to go first. And G Rap, Marley told him, he goes, I need a heater on this shit. Like I need you to go. Like, and so G Rap. So they ate it. So that's just a little bit of shit there as far as the background. I mean, I think they all came hard, and I personally, I like Craig G's verse, or which is always people. I'm in the minority with that, but I like his verse better, or G Rap's, personally. Yeah, so that's my little background on the lyrics. I mean, I thought they all ate that shit, man. I think it was a phenomenal display of 88. You know, it was a phenomenal display of lyricism, particularly at that time. They all came hard on that shit. So lyrically, that's where we're going now. Yeah, what you got on that?
I think it's dope. I want to add on to the whole Masta Ace thing because I think not to devalue everybody else, but I think it's super dope that one, Masta Ace wasn't part of the original, like part of the original, I don't want to say cast, but the lineup, right? And because nobody wanted to go first, he was kind of like the mic warm up guy. Like, let me just warm up the mic. So think of that. Think of that for a second. And you can split it into two. You can split up into, would that happen now with the ego, or even the ego in the 90s? Would that really happen to where, I don't want to call Masta Ace a nobody, but in terms of, you know, a name in hip hop, an MC comes in just like, you're just in the studio chilling, and someone says, maybe, yeah, get on the mic, but not like, I'm going to keep you on here on a posse cut. So one, being dope enough, and I think Masta Ace said it wasn't like he didn't, not that he didn't put crazy effort to it. It's just he was there, he did what he had, and, you know,
yeah, he held it down. I mean, you gotta admit, he held it down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I think that's dope. I want to reiterate what you said. The age, right? Because nowadays people are quick to be like, yeah, you're too young, blah, blah, blah. But again, LL, when he came out with Radio, and I mean, understand the time frame, the age. It's crazy to hear you say, because I kind of go back and forth between Craig G is crazy underappreciated in terms of lyricism. And I don't know. It kind of goes back to you like saying, like, you know, classic albums or whatnot. I mean, he has some really dope joints, but maybe that's the reason why. And maybe because the Juice Crew was just all heavy hitters. I don't know.
But he doesn't have the home run. I always say, look, it's the first thing I look at. Do they have the home run?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a home run album.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, so, all right, production. Otis Redding, hard to handle sample, used a lot. Marley said that, he goes, you gotta thank New York City Housing. He goes, I was still in the projects, making that shit, $110 a month rent, free electricity. And he goes, they helped make a lot of the hip hop classics. That's what he said. So the one thing that I'm not, it still just bothers me, just, you know, samples of like whole loops and shit. You know what I mean? I don't recall that Otis intro, but so I don't know the original joint. But I think it's been sampled a couple times. But regardless, that shit was dope. To me, that production that was just something else. And I think we may even want to add another category because the visual for me when I saw the video,
The video,
it was like Doug, that shit was, you know what I mean? I don't care who's first. I was just watching Marley, you know, Dusty Marl and shit. So, production wise, that piano was the key for me.
Yeah, because you think about it, right? I mean, really, and not so much at that time, but anybody can really sit there and make a beat, right? Let's be honest. Is it dope? That's a whole other story. But anybody can make a beat. Can your beat stand the test of time? Till this day, kind of like a South Bronx, where you hear just the first couple notes, and you know off the bat, one, what song it is. Two, it gets you hype as fuck. Understand this. This is not just a song on an album. This is a posse cut. You can't come weak with the posse cut. And this is early on in hip hop where, you know, posse cuts weren't really, I mean, 90s is when the posse cuts came in and, you know, yeah, posse cuts left and right. I think there was probably too much of them. I mean, that's why we don't see them these days. That's not the point. But yeah, the production on that was just insane.
Marley, I mean, real quick before we move on, Impact, move on. Marley, I don't think it's enough for, you know, as far as being a heavy hitter in this shit. You know, Marley was produced a lot of dope joints, so I wanted to put that there. Impact, to me, I mean, I might even do a top 5 posse cuts or whatever. It's off the top of my head, it's one of the top 2 or 3 posse cuts of all time for me. Coming out of a year, 88 being, you know what I'm saying, a super dope year for hip hop. Yeah, and I think the impact too. Also, the visual will always stand with me. As that, I mean, it goes along with it. I don't know if the song. To me, this song isn't the same without the visual. To be honest with you, I think
that's crazy. You said that. Okay, go ahead. I'll add to that.
I think there's a few songs that are like that. And we can maybe use a topic that are what songs where the visual makes the song. You know what I'm saying? Like certain songs will still stand, but the visual that's dope. But the visual makes that song to me. So Impact, dope video. I'm gonna say it impacted me in terms of the Western shit. I thought that was a fun take on it. I also thought it was an interesting thing how, and I heard this. Kane was the only one that didn't wear Western shit.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? He was the only one that didn't rock that shit. I think even Scoob and Scrap had some shit on, but I think they were in that video. No, it's been a while, so long. But our Scoob and Scrap playing cards, I think, might be another shit. I'm a bit, but yeah. So anyway, it was dope joint. To me, it's an awesome joint though.
It's crazy you say that because I remember obviously listening to the song, and the song was dope enough, right? Different styles, everyone came with it, and to me, it's dope because anybody, like I said earlier, right? Anybody can make a beat, anybody can get 6 or 7 MCs. Here's a track, rap on it, but it's not gonna be. I mean, it's rare when a bunch of different MCs can get together on the same track and complement each other. You know, kind of pass the torch. You spit first, and then and producing. Obviously, everybody lays their track, and you know, you kind of add them the way it should be. That's one. And I thought it was dope just listening to it, the way it was built up. Right? It flowed very well.
Yeah, it flowed dope.
And
Yeah,
then,
first.
like you said, the visual,
Yeah.
that to me, I didn't think, I don't get the chills too often. And I remember, and I still, I mean, I used to remember sit in front of the TV cable box and just like waiting for the shit to come on. And obviously, I never got the whole song, but I got it. I don't know, like maybe a minute in, right, and it starts off. But yeah, the visuals complement the track. Each individual MC complements the beat. Vice versa, Marl just, I mean, he picked it well. He sampled it well. I think it's a very dope album. Impact wise, it, it set the tone for posse cuts. You couldn't just come weak. You can't just mesh people together and say, here.
Right. Let's get to your joint. It's already 10:20. Just want to make sure we get these shits in. So, Symphony, all-time joint. Obviously, I went easy out of the gate with that one. But I mean, that's the point. That we're picking classics. We're not trying to pick obscure joints. I mean, so we're picking well-recognized bangers. So, what you got, fam?
All right. So, I have two. I'm gonna go with the more maybe questionable one, right? Again, I talked about it earlier. So I went with the Roots, What They Do. Now I know the Roots are super dope, but I do know a lot of people, hip hop heads, that don't really rock with the Roots. So I was kind of, I told you, hesitant on both tracks. Like, is it really a classic? But nonetheless, I went with it. So What They Do, the Roots, 1996, out of the Philadelphia Half-Life album, featuring Raphael Sadiq. Why did I choose that one? Because again, personally, I do think it's a classic. 96, even though we did have great hip hop coming out that year, I think that was a pivotal, an important year, and not in a good way, where shit started really shifting. 97, you start getting Puffy. I mean, Puffy was already in the mix with Big and Craig Mack. But in 97, you already saw kind of like him doing his rap shit and the shiny shit. So I think 96 was a real important moment. And the fact that in terms of lyricism, right, we're going to break down the lyricism. One, Black Thought has got to be one of the illest MCs of all time. Like it or not, I've always said Black Thought can spit your favorite rapper's lyrics better than your favorite rapper. This dude has some crazy enunciation, real laid back. He can be fierce as a motherfucker. We saw what he did with Funk Flex, still one of the craziest freestyles of all time. But he came he came with this very smoothly and very potent lyrics. No fancy wordplay, just straight out the gate in terms of people biting styles, people selling out to sell, doing what they need to get in the quote unquote game. And I thought at the time that he dropped this was crazy because, you know, from what I recall and the magazines I read and, you know, interviews and shit in the 40 something years I've been following this shit, you know, the Roots always had that, well, they're a hip hop band, right? Everybody wanted more the synthesizer sound, the sampler, the MPC and all that shit. So for them to come at it in terms of a band, and spit these lyrics, right, kind of calling people out, I thought was bold. And again, a lot said very smoothly and without heavy words, if you want to say that.
So I think we need to define for us and for the show going forward what we determine a classic to be. I fucks with that track heavy, but I don't consider it a classic track because to me, my definition of a classic track would be a track that universally everybody fucks with. And I don't think that's a track that your next track to me is more of a classic track. Like, so I mean, that's my criteria. So
No, true. And that's why I brought it up yesterday. I'm kind of like,
So yeah, but
I said, fuck it. You know, I just went with it.
ran with it, so that's cool. I mean, I think it's good though. So I personally, when I use that criteria, I don't consider that a classic track because everyone doesn't fuck with that track. I do have a classic track, to my opinion, on the list, whatever, Clones from the Roots, which to me is more. Yeah, big up AJ the Coroner, yeah. You know, so like Clones, and there's some interesting stories behind Clones actually. So we'll talk. I think I might do that one next. But so yeah, that's just my definition of it. I think it's, but to me, Black Thought is always in it. It don't matter. Like you can pick any track of the fucking day, and he's in his bag. He was in his bag. I can't fuck with You Got Me. I mean, I'm just. I guess it just played out so much. AJ, I just want to fucking stick a screwdriver in my ear when I hear that shit.
That was 99 too, right? That was,
yeah, I don't want to think about that no more because it's just stuck in my head, man. But yeah, so lyrically, I mean, Thought was on point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's always on point. To me, it's interesting what you pulled out of that track and shared with me because I wasn't really paying attention to it like that. So you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. So that's my take on the lyrical aspect. Production wise, where you got?
So production wise, again, to me, Questlove, right? Questlove is the one that produced it. I think Raphael Sadiq had a little to do with that. He co-produced it, given the fact that he was featured on it. But I think it's dope, right? Because with the Roots albums, and let's keep in mind that was their third album, if I'm not mistaken.
You good? We straight, AG.
All right, cool. You know, with the Roots, you really didn't know what kind of sound you were coming with. Now, I'm going to mention this because you're right, right? I mean, in terms of some head nod shit and radio play, at least out here, which is funny, but Clones was knocking. But Clones sounds more boom bap than what they do. Right? Boom bap is yeah. I mean, that shit is anywhere you go. That's head nod shit. I mean, I can remember the last time I heard. I mean, I can hear it. I play it. But the last time I was out somewhere and heard it, I was at like some exhibit out in LA, you know, non-hip hop exhibit, and somebody was playing it at a little museum or whatever, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's totally weird, and it just brings a vibe. But okay, so in terms of production, I think they did. Questlove did pretty good about keeping it subtle boom bap, but kicking that jazz. I mean, that bass. There's like an instrumental towards the end. I think it's a real smooth, laid back flow, which you normally don't hear if you're trying to get a point across, right? So if Black Thought is saying, yo, stop biting, stop selling your soul to these record labels, blah, 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 you would figure the beat may be more like a Clones than what it is. But I thought it complemented it pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good point that you just made about that. I thought it just showed another side of the Roots that and showed the versatility of the crew at that time. You know, Roots heyday, like, to me, best live show ever. As I've said numerous times, best live show ever. I just thought the Roots live shit. I mean, the Roots in their heyday, they could do what they really pushed the envelope, and I appreciate that because it showed the bandwidth of them still being hip hop and still doing like this fire shit because Black Thought is. I mean, listen, you know, if EST is on record as saying Malik B is the best MC out of Philly, you know what I'm saying? I guess there must be some issue with Black Thought somewhere, but you know what I mean? Like, Black Thought is a big part of why the Roots are that successful as far as, you know what I'm saying? He murdered everything. He murders everything he touches, yo. Everything. You put him on fucking polka music, he's murdering it. And you put him on fucking Irish folk music and Russian, yeah, I mean, like, you know, fucking Jewish, Yiddish shit, you know, he murdering that shit. He's murdering everything. He's murdering nursery rhymes. Like, Black Thought is so when you got an MC that just murders everything, it's almost like in sports when certain players make up for your deficiencies because they're so good. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like they make up for the other team's deficiencies, like for your team's deficiencies because they're so good at one thing, like they don't even highlight that shit. So
Yeah.
I'm not deficiencies, but like the Roots aren't. Black Thought made that shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I got there as far as I don't know where we're going, but yeah.
Hey, again, we're this is all organic. We just talk. Impact. So this goes back to the whole: is it classic? Is it not? Right. And again, just so you guys know, I really played with the. It's a classic to me. It's a classic to a few people that I fuck with. But you're right. I mean, it's not universally a classic, right? Like so, you said someone said Clones is better. So in terms of impact, I mean, it impacted me, and I believe, obviously, it didn't impact the culture too much because people still did the biting shit. But I think in terms of being outspoken and still being somewhat, I don't want, I'm going to use this term a little loosely here, somewhat mainstream, right? You're on the radio, right? You're on a label. You're not this underground just band that just you're getting pushed by a label, and you're a hip hop band. So for someone to just come out and be like, yo, people are biting, don't sell out, blah, blah, because it's what's happening, I think that impact to the underground and real heads was key. I'm not trying to say, it birthed what came after 97, 98, 99 with like Raucous or anything like that. But all I'm saying is it gave a voice to those that still held lyricism at a high regard, right? He says to MC requires some skills. I demand some shown. Like where your skills at? Let's go. So every time I hear that come out of his mouth on that track, it's just like that's what I'm saying. Like you'd figure if I tell you a rapper says just that verse, and then I show you the beat, you wouldn't think it'd be it'd go hand in hand. So that's why I'm kind of like something like a Clones wouldn't sound like but it's just the way they married the lyricism to that beat, and it just sounds fresh.
Right. And I think it's important to note that like it's impactful for you, and yet and like a lot. You really breaking it down, and I appreciate you breaking it down because I never broke that sound like that. I mean, I listened to it, I thought it was dope. That's really, and then we talked about you break down music and break down lyrics. So that's dope to me that you took that song to that level. Now it makes me want to go listen to it, really get into it and the nitty gritty and dig, and you know what I'm saying. So that's dope because you shared some other shit about a track, you know what I mean. And so we can define whatever. Next time we do it, we can say, okay, this is impactful for the culture. Okay, this is impactful for me on a personal level, whatever.
Word.
So you know what I mean. But like, I think it's dope. So we're in my next shit. Go ahead.
No, that's it. So let's go. Let's keep it going.
All-time classic track. Well, yeah, all-time classic track. Planet Rock, 1982.
That is definitely a no doubter. Like, come on.
Yeah, right. I mean, so lyrically, very simple. And I'm not gonna really stay there too much. And a lot of the lyrics, when I looked up some shit on it, so the lyrics, those songs about dreams, live it, world is free. Like it was about just, it was more feel good shit. So I didn't listen to it for the lyrics at all. I'll jump right. And if you got anything about the lyrics, I'll jump right into the production. But I didn't. I mean, well, you should have. You're a lyricist.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy, right?
No, but I just curious what your take is. You probably have an interesting take. So what is it?
No. You're right. I mean, it's what I want to say is, I mean, yes, it's simple, but it's more to me, right? Personally, in 79 is when you get like, all right, now we're going to capitalize on this sound, right? Whether you're talking about corporations, record labels, they're going to capitalize on this and sell records. Okay. The years, and I'm in no way saying I was there or alive for that, but obviously I do my research. But the days of this sound culture being just in a underground state. It was just happening in the hood, the projects, the blocks, whatever you want to call it, is no more. So you're almost taking some of the heart out of that, right? MCing used to be chance. It wasn't I'll break your neck, or metaphors and similes and shit and cadences. It was just rocking a crowd. Chance. What's your sign, right? Shit like that. To me, it was just a tad elevated from what chance used to be in MCing. So yeah, no, it's nothing crazy. I mean, they're saying their name and live it up, whatever, and that's it, But I want to make sure it's not, this isn't a lyrical song, so we can't dive into lyricism too much.
But it's very important. I think I'm glad you added on, because it's important to note that for that time, this is what the music was. I mean, in terms of lyrics, but we can't make it seem like 94 or 95 or something, as far as looking at the lyrics. But the lyrics fit with the song and made it dope. So that's important to know as well.
Yeah, it's even with the again, it's more chance. Rock it, don't stop it. You gotta rock it, don't stop. You tick it, and I mean, it's a chant. It's more of rock it, don't stop it, and then the response, right?
Rock it. Yeah. So I mean, and I think it's dope. It was a song. I mean, so it was one of
the follow up. I know with you and to me, production and impact overpowers the lyrics.
Yeah. So we'll go there. So the production. I mean, Bam wanted to make a joke. He was in the craft work so heavily, and he did the joint with Arthur Baker, and Bam was already DJing a lot of weird, just eclectic stuff at the time anyway. Salute to everybody in the shit. So the electro shit, this is some consider like one of the early pioneer shit, electro. But that production and that breakdown where it's basically like two separate songs, like dude, when that shit comes on, and that's when you start fucking killing shit if you're rocking. That, right there. You start murdering whoever you're battling. You wait for that shit and burn them, motherfucker. So, yeah, that I think that electro shit, and I think it's just important to talk about. I guess really the electro shit in hip hop. It's a big part of the '80s sound, neon. That's the '80s, and if you grew up in that era, that's what it was, and electro all over the freestyle music, electro was everywhere, and electro was dope to me. Fuck with electro.
Electro's sick as. Put yourself, because so there's people that, I mean, like, so with me, I can only imagine what a park jam was like. One, because I wasn't there geographically. Two, because I wasn't alive for it. But I was alive for that electro sound, right? So growing up, you hear bands. It's a band, whether it's rock, whether it's rockabilly, whether it's reggae. These are bands making music. The guitar makes this sound. The drum makes that sound. But when you hear something, I mean, even with Rocket, Herbie Hancock, what in the motherfuck is that sound? And then you find out this is record going back and forth. You hear fucking shit that sounds like lasers, computerized. I mean, put yourself in that era. Computers were fucking futuristic. That was like, what the fuck? Now, I mean, we're spoiled now. So to hear what eventually will be called electro, that sound, that synth, even with some 80s music, I mean, that sound was completely different. So to hear it, your body and your ears would automatically gravitate towards that because one, it's new and it's futuristic. But then not only, you get the Trans Europe Express from Kraftwerk, but then, Bam, Arthur Baker, and Arthur Baker worked with Planet Patrol too, if I'm not mistaken. They just, knowing Afrika Bambaataa, knowing the breaks and being there in the Bronx and knowing what the stripped down funk is where the B-boys and pop lockers go, he knew exactly how to set that up and the breakdowns are incredible track. That production is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And I'll take it a step further. And it's kind of crossing over to impact is that the production made people want, you had to dance. Like, I mean, for us as a b-boy, you were, that's a b-boy anthem right there, and it is, and so impact, for me. So that's also, it's a, the cultural impact. But for me, I mean, I said it before. I said it for the documentary. I was born in '76. I consider '82 my birth year because of that track. I heard that track, and that's when I said, "Oh, what the fuck is this?" And I happened to see the visual. Somehow I saw the visual, and they're popping it, and I was like, that was a wrap. That was a wrap. Like, that was it. So '82 is the birth year because of that track, and that's for personally, that's the side shit. That's the impact for me. Like, that's it. That's it right there. Like, that will make me murder somebody and fucking and then obviously, like I said, for B-boy, that track is something else.
Yeah. Think about it. 40 plus years later. And as soon as party people, as soon as you hear that shit, you're just like, all right, boom, let's go. What up?
Yeah. And then real quick, jumping back to the lyricism real quick. Some call it mumble rap, but it was fucking dope. I don't care. Yeah. Come on. Fuck it. That shit was fire.
Well, and I mean, okay, let's talk about impact in terms of, all right, so put it this way. Okay, so obviously they're saying something, right? MC Globe, and they're talking and they're talking about this and that and the third. But if I'm not mistaken, Most Def on, I don't know if it was on the Bush Babies track or maybe even on the Reflection Eternal album, somewhere down the line, and not just him, but other people kind of sampled that Zuzza. I mean, several people have done that.
Did it. Redman did it.
Years later.
Redman did it too.
Redman did it. It's again, it doesn't, and I guess I see how you say this whole mumble shit, but it's, again, it comes from an era where, the chant, the response, the getting the crowd hype, getting him involved, right? It's not just, it's all about me, it's all about the DJ. You and I, what you vibe off of the crowd, you vibe off the DJ vibes off of the crowd, and vice versa, and then you start going round and round. Incredible song. I could talk electro all day, to be honest.
I love electro. Big up to that shit. I love it. It's a part of hip hop. It's just like house is a part of hip hop. It's just dance hall's a part of hip hop. Like, there was times like dance hall was and everything. Lil Vicious, Patra, fucking that shit was all on TV. So, like, I'll house you, King's Son, fucking like doing hype. You can't fucking front. So it was there. Queen Latifah, you know what I mean? Don't make me wait. Come on. Every motherfucker gave me body. Fuck. I mean, my house head. So, yeah. So what you got? We actually gonna finish up on time. And I'm gonna say this. My man, childhood friend, Eddie F. in here. he's gonna love this track that you're about to share because this was like a track that we bumped heavy. He put me onto this track, so this is part of my. So this is an important track that I just want to set it up. This is an important track that you're about to share, right here.
So,
What up?
all right. So I'll set it up this way, right? Because when you came down here this last time, and we shot some footage, I don't even know if you remember, but I don't know if it was Hollywood Boulevard. We were somewhere out in LA, and I turned that shit on, and it wasn't even loud, right? It was just like whatever, because we're talking, and you stopped the conversation.
Really?
Like,
You
don't remember? You're like, turn that shit up, and you actually went live on Instagram playing that song.
Word.
We were I think it was Hollywood Boulevard. You were just bumping that loud, and that's what I mean. I know you probably fuck with the song, but I didn't know you fuck with it that heavy because anytime my wife fucking, and she's not, my wife likes hip hop, but I mean it's surface, right? And that's no disrespect to her, but that song comes on, fucking goes nuts. I mean that 91, and the song that I'm talking about obviously is "Ain't No Future in Your Front." MC Breed, DFC, and actually I was trying to find the singles for all the other songs that we were talking about. And I couldn't find it, but
some fucking people go dance.
Get a record a second and a chance to. Oh man, listen. So, well, you guys didn't hear it, but you and we talked yesterday on the heavy influence, especially in my area, Southern California, Santa Ana, Orange County, of that funk, right? Ebony Webb, the Gap Band, Barcades. Funk was everything in this area, in that era. So, hip hop was dope, and I loved it, right? And people I knew loved it, but for the most part, funk was the shit. So when this song came out, it had funk in it, chopped up, but nonetheless, it had that funk. So, bro, I'm going to go backwards here because I'm probably going to talk about the impact before the lyricism, but when that song dropped out here, that's all you would hear, because out here, it was a little post. I mean, mini trucks were a thing here in the 80s. The 90s kind of were personally dying out, the mini trucks. But you'd hear, I mean, mini trucks with the fucking like 5, 6, 8 woofers in the back. And that song is all you heard. And I'll tell you why. Again, I'm going backwards here. But normally you have a bass line and the bass is just constant nowadays, right? And you can hardly even hear what song you're listening to. This track, which my understanding it was produced by, actually I'll tell you right now, MC Breed, Herman Lang, and some dude named S. Harris. Is that? Well, we'll take it. But it's the song, and then there's only one 808, elongated 808 that you can just, and with a good system, you can hear it down the block. So I thought it was a good joint because you can hear the funk sampled, but you also had that occasional boom just coming out that fucking trunk. So in terms of impact, at least out here in Southern Cali, that shit was coming out the trunks of mini trucks, lowriders, black, white, purple, yellow, green. Everybody was bumping that shit.
So for me, impact wise, this is crazy because so my brother's in here. So, whatever. I was going to Cleveland like for summers for like 86 to 85, 86 to 94. I was in Cleveland every summer, every winter, every spring break, all the time. So my man put me on the music. And so he put me on to this shit, this fucking, because in Cleveland, it was Cutlass Supremes. That's what people was rocking as far as the whips go and the fucking C-Packs and the fucking, just Cleveland's about that funk, like, and just that dirty shit. So, this shit, we knocked the hell out of this shit. Like, this was like a coming of age type outside of his song. You know what I'm saying? In terms of shit for us, man. Like we banged it. He put me on this shit. I banged the hell out of this shit, yo. Like this was like, cause this was part of like some like Cleveland energy as well. Like just the, like this the vibe, cause he's from Flint, Michigan, so they're not from the West. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this was some more Midwest energy, like, and I, you know, I was up there all the time, you know, so it was just more shit like that. So, impact wise, personally, that shit hit me. I didn't even really know that, like it. I didn't know it blew up like that until later, when I like really got on IG and I would post it, and people would be like, oh shit, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, you did well, but like, cause I knew we fucked with it. Like, I didn't know it was like, I didn't know that.
Like universally fuck with it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, I just know that we, like, my man put me on. I just knew that song was a song. I mean, I didn't know maybe like 4 or 5 years ago that like that song was like a classic song. I didn't know that people considered it a classic song. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so you guys just brought it up, and that's what I wanted to mention. Right when I mentioned funk, so they used the Ohio Players' "Funky Worm" sample, and they used Zapp and Roger, or Zapp, the "More Bounce," right? And even though to me personally, "More Bounce" is played the fuck out, my funk is more underground, like Ebony Webb and shit like that. But again, especially in the '90s, I mean, anything funk out here, it would get fucked with. And on top of that, here's what I want to mention in terms of lyricism. I can't. I mean, there has to be. We're used to 2 or 3 verses at most. This had like 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, and
Yeah.
not just that. Even breakdowns, right? It's the verse, and then the beat kind of changes, and where he changes the flow, or even like I think it was the 4th verse. If I was a fiend, I must put my name Breed on everything I own, and when I get my Jeep and put Breed on the chrome. Yeah, so he breaks it down. I love every
that room's in a Kenwood. Oh, Ken.
I have to listen to it. Like, I have to listen to it. That song. Honestly, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put it up there with like a Planet Rock in terms of it getting me hyped, regardless of when it comes on. Soon as it comes on, whether I hear "Party People" or "To the Beach," y'all, it's
Yo, so that I don't recall that shit happening. That was crazy that I don't remember that happening with us.
What?
When you said when that came on and we were in LA.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. And it's funny because that impacted me, because I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. And it's kind of weird because, you know, we've talked about how people say we're so different. And I thought because it had more of a funk feel to it, it wouldn't be something you'd rock with too much. And then to see I mean, I've seen you on your lives, and you get me hype as fuck. And I see you and fucking MOPs and you know, all that. Never would I thought a sound like "Ain't No Future in Your Front" would get you that hype. But that was you. You know, your lives when you wild out, that was you in my car, and you went live. So that was, I mean, I want to take that to the grave, because that was super dope to see. We were just down. I think it was Hollywood Boulevard. I might be mistaken.
Great, that's dope.
Turn it up.
Nah, that's yo, like, fire is fire, and that's, you know, we learn a lot about each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the funk is, I mean, yo, I love dope music, yo, and that shit is fire. So, fun fact is that you can check out the interview. Kwame and MC Breed were label mates on Ichiban, and he said MC Breed and his whole crew took care of him on Ichiban. It was like a fucked up experience, but they took care. He toured. Kwame toured with MC Breed. They took care of him. He said he was out in Flint. Like it's crazy, right? Like,
Wow.
And like he said, MC Breed was like peoples. He said him and his peoples. You know what I'm saying? He said they looked out for him. This is on our build. He said they looked out for him. So it's a dope story. Yeah, Kwame Kwame and MC Breed were like this. He's like, he goes, that was my man. Like, they looked out for me all night. She brought food, took me, like just took care of me. I was like all fucked up. Right? Yeah, it was dope.
That I genuinely love hearing people taking care of people.
Right.
Especially in the industry like that, right? Because you'd figure, again, we go back to the whole ego shit. Especially being on the same label, you'd figure, I mean, I would think, yeah, you're in the same label, you somewhat consider like, all right, you're part of my crew, well, not really, but you're in the same label, so we have to fuck with each other. But then also kind of like, well, I wanna sell more records than this dude. He's on my label. It almost becomes a competition. So when I hear shit like that, that genuinely warms my heart.
Yeah, that was dope. It was dope. So yeah, look at that. We're doing anything lyrically or with that or
honestly, I can pinpoint a few things. To me, something that always stuck out, aside from just being from Cali, right? Just saying, when I get my Jeep, I put Breed on the chrome, shine it up good. It says like Motorola foam fat rims and the Kenwood. Just the fact that he's just stating stuff that I'm seeing, right? The rims, the pull-out stereos and all that. It's dope. But then stronger shit where it's like paint the White House black. Like, fuck, right? And I think sometimes it gets lost in the fact that you're just like, yeah, this is a dope track. But you think about that. If you really break down, like,
right.
Shit, it's good. And a lot of artists have, I'm not even gonna say it's a punchline, but certain things that really mean a lot, but they're just, we talked about that with True Boy. And it kind of gets muffled into something else.
Great point. Great point. I mean, that's a standout line, and you're like, when you're like, oh yeah, they said some, and that's, unless because sometimes a lot of times where people really are with shit, even if they're putting out some music, that they got some other shit. So no, that's dope. Yeah.
What do you think? And I know we're at the tail end of this.
Yeah.
That song is dope. I know someone mentioned it too. He has a song with Pac. I can't even remember the name of it, but I fuck with it. And I'm gonna start shit. I'm not a big Pac fan.
Yeah.
But that song is dope. And I hate asking these cliche questions. Do you think Breed's obviously passed away and do you think he could have been big, or is it one of those things where it's like we could have been talking to him about him kind of like we do a Craig G?
No, I think he had the ability to go big. Yeah, the gotta get mine, you gotta get yours. I think he had a dope voice. I think he had what it took. There's always luck that's involved, but I think he had what it took to definitely. I mean, he did a joint with Pac, so I mean, like he was there.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't just out of nowhere, right?
And then you get him that some Dre production or whatever and shit like that, and there you got another star. I mean, yeah, I think he had that. I think he had that in him. I'm glad I'm not talking about him as a fucking sellout rapper, though. I mean, I'm glad I'm like, so whatever, you know what I mean? Like, rest in peace, MC Breed. So,
and I don't know. I'm only going off of what I remember seeing, and it wasn't on cable. A friend of mine brought over a VHS. This might have been, I don't know, 93, 92, 93, probably 92. From my understanding, there's two different versions of that video.
I think there are, and I think at one point I've seen them both, but I don't. It's been a long time. I do recall that there are two versions. I think one's like like kind of a little more grimier version. But I could be wrong. It was a long time, so I think it was hard for him to follow up on the first track. I mean, that was a powerful track. I mean, but I think I'm just saying if he was on that pop wave, you know, a lot of people popped off time that maybe, you know, I just feel like some of that shine. We won't know.
He definitely was a lyricist, right? Again, I'm gonna go back to, I just see it's already 8, but I'm gonna go back to the fact where, I mean, you had songs, 2, 3 tracks at the most, and dude, again, I have to count them. I might be wrong. Rubik's might come to the rescue here, but I want to say it was like 4 or 5 different verses on that track. So to carry a song, one, to carry it for more than 3 verses and do it successfully, and the song still knocks till this day. This dude is not just a rapper. Like, this dude had bars. So, yeah.
Right. No, good point. See, Breed, it's 11 o'clock, 8 o'clock your time.
Yo, so here's what I'm gonna do. You're right? I don't feel like I failed, but yeah, I now thinking of all the tracks that I listed in terms of it being classic. There's so many that I would have rather talked about, but now that we've established the whole classic shit, next time we come across, it's gonna be universally classic. I really enjoyed this. You know, unfortunately, we're not playing the songs as much as I would want to hear that fucking MC Breed track right now, or even Planet Rock. I'm about to play it right now.
But I gotta get out of here. You gotta get out of here.
Yo, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you, brother, because it's funny when we talk about these things, certain memories come back that wouldn't have come back unless we're talking.
Yeah.
So this is really therapeutic. So
yeah,
man, I appreciate you.
It takes me back to the childhood. My man's in here. We just linked up after 30 years of not talking. We didn't 30 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Like crazy, yo. That's my brother. So, like, this shit was like, and then I'm looking at the comments. Someone was like, "Rest in peace, MC Breed." Like, we bumped.